Welcome back. Now, of course, we all use artificial intelligence in our daily lives today. It's become something that's quite inevitable and unavoidable. But with artificial intelligence becoming more and more accessible, many people are turning to it to whether it be Chat GPT, whether it be Gemini, whether it be Siri, or whether it be Meta AI, any form of AI for emotional support and guidance, sometimes even as a substitute for therapy. A report shows that people are using AI for life coaching, working through personal issues, or simply as a judgment free space to process their thoughts. Its appeal is clear. ChatGPT is free, at least for now. It is available 24/7 and offers personalized advice in seconds. Rachel Goldberg, a licensed clinical social worker, said that she wasn't surprised to hear about this trend. One of her clients even uses ChatGPT alongside traditional therapy, describing it as a little compass helping her navigate her day. When the client needed to process something quickly without relying on friends or therapists, ChatGPT provided immediate feedback and even identified emotional patterns she hadn't noticed herself. The convenience is a major draw. Unlike traditional therapy, which requires scheduling and costs money, AI therapy is always available and free. Users get immediate validation, insights, and support without waiting. However, mental health experts still caution against over-reliance on AI for emotional support. Therapists have raised concerns that ChatGPT's constant availability could encourage unhealthy habits such as seeking excessive reassurance and also perhaps getting wrong advice. So now we are going to have a very important and a responsible conversation. I'm being joined by Sourav Banerjee, who's the founder and CTO of United We Care. I'll leave it to Sourav to explain more about what he does and how he is heading a platform which is looking at merging artificial intelligence with the need for addressing mental health. And I'm also being joined by Arouba Kabir, who is a mental and emotional health coach. Thank you both for joining me on this very important debate. Sourav, I'll start with you. If I'm not mistaken, you handle a mental health and wellness coach app. Take us through how your app or service tries to marry artificial intelligence with the need to address mental health. And what would your answer be to this, to the cynicism and the skepticism that is surrounding the issue of bot therapy at this moment?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me in this show. So first of all, the way we look at mental health is a massive lack of accessibility is there. To start with, like I come from a town by name Bankura. Even today, there is not a single clinical psychologist in the whole district of Bankura with a population size of about 45 lakhs. Now, if that is the difference between demand and supply, we do not have a place for a psychological first aid. So we strongly believe that AI can work as a psychological first aid. It's not a replacement of a real therapist. It has never. We will have real therapists, but there should be a collaboration that human therapists should work with AI to kind of screen population at bulk. Given screening, there is a need for having them to go for the follow-up and relapse management because that is a area wherein we are not focusing enough. Given both of that, the third thing very important is repeat formation or habit formation, because mental health is habitual in nature, right? Or good or bad mental health. So AI can pitch in all those areas, which is screening, follow-up and relapse management, self-management, and all those aspects. So we position AI there and not as a replacement of an AI therapist. So it's not A versus B; it's A and B together.
Okay, so you're saying that you're just supplementing existing mental health and therapy mechanisms. Aruba, Kabir on that. As a mental and emotional health coach, I'm sure a lot of people would have asked you, why can't we just ask Chat GPT the solution to our answers or how we feel better? And many people would, and even I personally have seen that it does come up with responses and replies which are quite encouraging and often quite impressive at this moment. Do you feel that it is something that can supplement your work as traditional therapists, or do you feel that there are very important concerns of using technology as a human interface that perhaps we are overlooking at this moment?
Well, we are in a time where we have to use technology. So I will not rule AI totally out. No, we should not use it. But as we just heard, and it is right, we can use it as an assistance. It can help us in the basic assessment, screening. But can it actually help people resolve their emotional and mental health challenges? There is the challenge because it cannot. As a therapist, we do not only focus on what we hear from the client, we also see their body language, the tone, the non-verbal cues, which AI may not be able to do that for us. And there was a research where a bunch of people was taken and they were asked certain questions and they answered and they took some therapy and they really loved it, but the minute they got to know it was AI generated, they were not satisfied. So we are social animals. We need that human touch in therapy. Sometimes, it's just that when you just look at your client and they feel, oh, they are heard, they are seen, they are, loved and accepted for who they are, which AI definitely cannot do. But do I use it in my company? Absolutely. We use it for making certain charts, certain activities, certain journal prompts. We definitely have started using AI for that.
No, but again, I want to delve a bit deeper into bot therapy, Aruba. From lived experiences, what is the main concern most people have when it comes to accessing therapy? Is that, okay, if I have a mental breakdown in the middle of the night, for instance, at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., or if in the middle of my workplace, my therapist isn't necessarily always accessible, because at the end of the day, you all have to assign slots. You all have your own, it's a part of your day to day of your 9 to 5 jobs. It's unfair to expect someone to always be accessible 24/7. If it is a matter of acute crisis when one has to dial a helpline, which one often does, there is a period in which you have to reach, it takes a prolonged period of time for you to actually reach a human interface. And by that time, the damage is either done, or you have to somehow go through this entire mental turmoil that you're going through and learn to deal with it at this point. Bot therapy, and I'm using the term bot therapy because whether you use Chat GPT or any other form of AI, is at least present 24/7. It is always accessible here, and if you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it can be there to address your concerns immediately rather than going through a prolonged period of time in order to reach a human interface. Isn't that a massive advantage with which AI platforms provide you?
Absolutely, absolutely, that does. But I really wish people stopped there. People just used it as a first aid kit that, oh, I'm having a panic attack, what do I do?
Okay.
But people just don't stop there. People have started using AI. Oh, I need to have this conversation. How do I frame it? I am feeling this emotion. How do I not feel it? These are certain questions we mental health therapists have come across. And I tell them, no, that is not how it works. It will not replace emotional intelligence. You have to use it as a tool, as a crisis management. But even in that case, for example, if it is a suicide, if it is self harm crisis, AI will not be able to help. Unfortunately, yes, we don't have the
Yeah.
provision as of now from the government as such, or in private institutes, that we have so many helplines we can help people. Absolutely, we don't have that. So if we are using it just for the first aid thing, wonderful, do it, but don't just get dependent on it for each and everything. There are certain deep issues and challenges you have gone through. You need to sit with a person, with a therapist, with a professional who studied human behavior, and according to your culture. We Indians have a lot of complexities. I tell people that we are like onions.
Yeah.
इतने layers है तो खत्म ही नहीं होते. So AI cannot understand that. We just cannot be dependent on it. But is it a help in emergency? Yes.
Sort of, again, the problem with AI is, and I don't say a problem with AI is the problem with the use of AI is, people often don't know or can't understand limits, and that's put the limits of artificial intelligence here. And it's tricky because AI is constantly evolving here. We have seen several cases of people developing parasocial relationships with AI in the form of almost looking at AI as a partner or as a best friend, and that relationships rapidly turning toxic to a point that we have had cases of self-harm because people have felt that the comfort and intimacy which AI provides cannot be replicated in the real world. What are the immediate checks and balances, or at least things that need to be kept in mind while dealing with AI? As someone who works extensively with language learning models, what are the limitations that we need to keep in mind? For instance, something I can immediately think of is Chat GPT or any form of bot therapy is a people pleaser. It will tell me exactly what I want to hear. It will tell me that my emotions are valid. And as a result, it can often encourage negative emotions to continue festering.
Okay, so should I answer this?
Yes, Saurav,
Yeah.
that question is to you.
So, yeah. Okay. So there are two, three things. First of all, the current generation of LLMs, they are extremely, horizontal in their approach, right? The LLMs do everything, right? They try to provide some mental health support. They try to solve some mathematics, some coding, some everything. First approach that we should take is a verticalized approach, which is a mental health specific AI, which, to your last point, which is going to please you. No, it's not going to please you. It's going to, take certain therapeutic measure. And I'm not telling that those therapies are real therapies, but I'm talking about certain therapeutic measure in the therapeutic guideline. So that's the first thing. So we have to change our approach from the horizontal approach of AI to a more verticalized approach of AI, which is more specific to a particular domain, which is mental health. That's the first thing. Second thing, we have to first understand, the current AI, they do hallucinate and hallucinate really bad. We have instances wherein, AIs have actually told kids to go ahead and commit suicide. They have told that. So how do we stop that hallucination or
Yes,
take
exactly.
that hallucination to a level which is acceptable for a high risk domain like, mental health? So that essentially means we create guardrails and guardrails as a society, that we allow AI or only this set of AIs to perform these set of activities, not beyond that, in this geography. Who does it? So here we are talking about then about a strong government or at least a societal guardrail that NASCOM in India, they are doing it. There are few companies, they are doing it inside. But as a country, we have to come out with certain guardrails on that. That's the second thing. Third thing, as
Okay.
ma'am said,
Okay.
and I fully agree with that, it is about look, listen, link, and this is where AI should stop. Look at the person. By the way, I strongly believe even the non-verbal cues today, tomorrow, or day after, even we are able to do it right now. We can read the non-verbal
Exactly.
cues. We can look at the person, listen to the person. We do not give enough hearing to a person when the person needs to be heard, and then link the person to right set of resources. So the psychological first aid, as prescribed by WHO, should be done by AI. That's the third thing. The fourth and the final thing is slightly disturbing, but we should come and talk about that. Our primary research, we are doing a research with IIT Kharagpur and MIT, and the initial hunch of that research which is coming, people are getting more honest towards a machine, especially about their physical and mental health condition, especially in presence of
Yeah.
family members. And that is a phenomena that we are seeing more from not so privileged class of the society. You go and talk to people who are not so privileged, they are more open talking to someone who is anonymous, who is not going to judge them, and who they can talk to at their convenience, and they don't have to wait for their family members to be present to take to them. And it's more about the women's health. They do not talk in front of their family, even if it's anemia, and that's a preventable condition during pregnancy. And we can see those evidences coming up. So AI can actually do a great case note taking. I mean, in the absence of their family, being more honest towards AI. So these are the
Okay.
things on the top of my mind we can and we should and we must do in
Okay.
future.
No, that's a very important point you mentioned, Saurabh, and I'll just go to Aruba before we move on at this point. Aruba, uh, it is a fact that in our country, given the fact that mental health still remains a very gray area and various issues here, people will often feel a lot more comfortable sharing up to a non-judgmental space like a machine or a form of AI here. Is it because, as Saurav has pointed out, we don't have the guidelines or guardrails still in the case of mental health? It's either something which was for the longest time seen dismissed as something which is part of woke culture, something which is not necessary, and now it has perhaps sunk to such a way that often there has been a report that anyone and even everyone could become a mental health specialist here, whether one is a psychiatrist, whether is just a therapist, whether one is a counselor. These distinctions are not yet known, which is why there is an inherent distrust factor that is building within people, that they find it easier to communicate to technology and machines than to another human being.
Well, yes, we don't have many guidelines as of now, and post pandemic, we have seen every second person either becoming a life coach or a therapist. That's where the credibility, checking the credibility becomes really important for people. That's the first thing I tell people. Are the guidelines coming in? Absolutely. Are more and more people inclined towards taking psychology as a subject or psychiatry as a subject? Yes, that is happening. A lot of people are taking. Should we have more therapists? We should have much more therapists than we have today in government, in private, everywhere.
Yeah.
But, end of the day, we are human beings. We need more human touch. People are getting isolated from joint families to nuclear families to nuclear families to single people. Divorces are increasing. People are not looking for relationships anymore. There are lots of issues and challenges right now when it comes to human connection. And in that, I give AI to people where they can sit and have a conversation and they feel all that what they should have felt from a human being. Would they release the same hormones, chemicals they would have released if a human being hugged them, talked to them, looked at them? Not at all. So that only and only brings a lot of loneliness by the
Okay.
end of the day. And AI gives us these amazing, perfect answers. You can do this, this will happen. But is that
Exactly.
possible? Maybe I am someone working on myself, my mother is not. So she's not going to respect that boundary, which will only and only increase my frustration. I feel AI should be definitely used.
Okay.
I agree with Saurav. We need it, and in places where there is less awareness and all, that all is there. But I feel we should try to train more and more people, and AI should be used in presence of a human being. It should not be that a kid is left alone with the
I
Chat
mean, I guess
GPT
there's a
or
reason.
with AI tool and allow them, or a woman who does not
Yeah.
have an idea what anxiety is. There's no difference between anxiety and panic attack. And AI sometimes tells you, oh, it's not good to feel anxious. But anxiety is something within us. It's an amazing feeling if it is in a healthy way. So I feel there is where the fine line is. We need to see how much is too much and how less is too less. But we have to work with technology and we have to upgrade ourselves. Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a reason why they call it artificial intelligence. It can't be a substitute for natural and God-given intelligence. But yes, I think as both Sourav and Aruba agree, AI is inevitable, and the use of AI in all aspects of life, including mental health, is something that should not be discouraged or looked upon as a taboo, but should be used intelligently. And I think right now, I think we can all agree that as of this point, it is in its best used as a supplement and not as a complete substitute for the human interface. But this is, of course, an evolving topic, an evolving debate, and we'll see how, to what extent does the field of mental health and the field of AI and the two evolve at this point. Thank you so much, Aruba, and also Saurabh, for joining me on this very, very insightful debate here. We've pivoted from a regular news to focus on this important debate.